Good morning, everybody. John here at Epic Maker Studio, and I've got some exciting news coming out of Evil Genius Games on their first Kickstarter. And gosh, I don't even know how long, if it is their first Kickstarter. They released the Everyday Heroes, the role playing game, live on Kickstarter less than 24 hours ago. They've got over 1,800 backers, and they're coming up on 178,000 pledged so far, having been pledged in the first 15 minutes, which was 15,000. Really good job, guys. Congratulations. Now you might be going, okay, John, what is Everyday Heroes? Well, for you 5e fans, congratulations. You've got another what's looking to be a top-notch D20 modern system based on the 5e mechanics. Now, we already have a really great one out there that I think is really amazing. I've already done a video on that, and that was the Ultra Modern 5e. I've already covered that in a previous video actually a year or so ago. So take a look at that video if you're interested in that. But we're going to be talking about the Everyday Heroes. So from some of the creators or contributors for Wizards of the Coast and the original like Dungeons and Dragons 3.0 setting, when it was labeled under D20. Then we got 3.5, then we got 4.0, and then we got the 5e system that we're all used to right now. And maybe in a year or so from now, we're going to have an updated 5e. I think they're going to, I don't think they're going to call it 6th edition. I think they're just going to call it 5.5 or 5e revised or something like that. Essentially, it's just cleaning up a lot of like the combat and such and some of the character classes for the original Dungeons and Dragons book. Now, does that apply to you here if you've already got a player's handbook, but you want to be playing one of these alternate 5e settings? No, because all you need is the 5e rulebook and these settings. And if all they're doing is just adjusting some of the rules for actions, you don't have to worry because you're going to be buying that player's handbook anyways. But I digress. Let's talk about what Evil Genius Games is doing here. So they've basically taken the D20 modern game that came out around 2002 that was based on the original D20 system that the opening game license has matured over the years to the 5e system. And they've turned it into that original D20 into, well, they're calling it a spiritual successor. So that's basically taken all the core ideas and concepts and then matching it to a 5e setting. So they're not copy and pasting necessarily everything out of the original D20 modern that was very well loved, very well received, nor are they just copying the 5e stuff and calling it modern. They're taking a lot of the rules and concepts and everything that we got in the current Dungeons and Dragons book and the original D20 modern and mashing them together to come out with something truly unique and wonderful. Now, alongside that, they are going to be publishing, at the very least, 8 amazing campaign settings that you can kind of develop around, either use completely or kind of develop your own games around as reference material. And so that's going to include the Pacific Rim movies, Kong Skull Island, Highlander, Escape from New York, The Crow, Universal Soldier, Total Recall, and Rambo. Now, if none of those settings are really what you're looking for, but there's some ideas about them, like I said, you can take the game mechanics out of there and apply it to your own setting. So if you want to do big giant robots fighting kaiju, but you don't want to set it in a Pacific Rim universe, you don't have to. That's what's great about role-playing games. Just take the setting rules and apply it to your own setting. Genius. Now, so what can we expect from this game? Well, besides that, it's a 5th edition version of D20, which has been updated, revised with after decades, close to 20 years of revisions and feedback from the D20 Modern. Like I said, was released in 2002 with like 11 supplements, the official supplements, not to mention God knows how many alternative supplements from people that were using the open game license to create their own content. So we've got 2 decades approximately of feedback on all of that to revise the bad stuff, keep the good stuff. And then we've got God knows how many years of 5e revisions and feedback. And you mash all that together to produce a top quality book. And right now, the art is looking really good. Everything so far looks good. Now, what are you going to be getting out of this? Now, if you play Everyday Heroes as a setting, are you going to be required to get any of those campaign settings I mentioned, like Escape from New York or Total Recall? No, you don't have to. You can have your own setting, guys, because the book itself has all the core rules in it. So you're going to get 18 classes, over 20 professions, over 20 backgrounds, and plus we have equipment and gear, feats, skills, everything to make truly unique characters outside of what you would normally expect. Like, oh, I got a raging barbarian, or I've got a moonstruck koala transforming druid, that sort of thing, whatever. You're going to have some very unique characters. Now, there are those 8 different settings, but once again, you're not required to. But they're going to give you stuff like, say, the Universal Soldier setting will give you rules for cybernetics. But if you don't want that, you don't have to get it or don't have to use it. You want mutants and mutations? We got the Total Recall. They've got you covered with that stuff. And since it is 5e, you can take these rules, like say you want a bunch of immortal characters running around in Ravenloft, you can take those rules, and since it's 5e, transfer it over to that setting, of course with your GM's permission, which obviously it's going to be the GM's permission, but you get the idea. Now, each of these campaign settings, or cinematic adventures as they like to call them, are 100 plus page digital books that come mainly with 2 parts. So the first part, obviously we talked about, gives you a bunch of game mechanics for that theme of the property, and the other part gives you a full adventure set within that world. So you're looking about 50-ish, about even split of probably rules and setting information, and then probably a 3-act adventure to get you going. And from what I'm reading here, you can buy these one at a time, either digital or through the Pledge Manager, you're going to be able to get a hardback. So if you want to go that route, which I would prefer the not hardback, but a hard copy versus a digital book. Digital books are great, but actually having them on the tabletop, you can go through faster than looking for that stuff digitally. At any rate, the second part, or with those, that right there, you can buy those individually, or you can get a season pass where you get them all. So, and the season pass sounds like it'd probably be the best thing, because you never know when you're going to want some rules that were in Rambo and combine them with Universal Soldier. Can you do it? You sure as hell can. GM, it's your game. Do it however you want. Now, if you don't like these settings, guys, you have the Everyday Heroes core rule book. If you want to do Supernatural, Fear the Walking Dead, you want to do, say, I don't know, give me another one, guys. You want to do, say, Bones or SEAL Team, or maybe you want something set up more like the Criminal Minds. You can do those settings, guys. You can do them. You can just take the rules from these settings, find which ones fit the best, and apply it. Now, that could be urban fantasy, especially for you guys like that really like, say, the Dresden Files, or Supernatural, or those that like, say, World War Z and or Fear the Walking Dead or the Walking Dead franchises. You're going to be able to apply those to this setting. Congratulations, you get to play in your favorite universe, guys. All right, so now this game, like I said, you're going to be getting 18 unique classes. Now here's where it gets a little wonky. I'm not sure what they're talking about, but 18 unique classes. You have they're going to introduce 6 archetypes based on the D20 structure, and these are centered around your attributes. So you have strong, agile, tough, smart, wise, and charismatic heroes. And then there are 18 unique classes off of that. So how that's going to work out, I'm not 100% sure, because they're not giving us a lot of information right now. But if it's based off D20 Modern, as long as you meet certain requirements, you can take those unique classes. Now here's where I think they get a little weird on their wording. Maybe this one paragraph was written before the other, and they just mixed them around. But they said 6 archetypes, 18 unique classes, and then they go down and say 6 base classes and 8 unique and modern classes. So looking at one, we've got 24 unique classes. Looking at the other, we've got 14 unique classes. So I'm not sure where this is going, but I'm still looking at favorably based off of what D20 Modern has given us. So here's an example of some of the unique classes. We got the Brute, the Hacker, Mastermind, Scrapper, Marksman, Scientist, Sleuth, Icon, and the Martial Artist. We're going to take a little bit more in-depth look. There's other classes like we got the Bodyguards, we've got the Leader, the Masters, and the fencers, individuals that sell, not like sword fighting fencers, but the ones that sell property and such. At any rate, you take those classes, then we've got new professions. Now, these professions is kind of a new mechanic in the modern world. So just being a brute doesn't cut it. I mean, what is a brute? How do you make money as a brute or as an icon? What does that actually mean? Those are archetype type classes. Now there are professions, and these professions give you ability score boosts. They give you starting gear and skills and kind of give you an idea of what your profession is. So if you're a brute, but you want to be a private detective, you can do that. And you don't think that's possible? Well, there's a book out there by Simon R. Green. It came out last year, I believe, where a former police detective drinks the Hyde formula and is a detective that essentially is faster, stronger, tougher, heals, and basically regenerates like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So these things are possible. You got secret agents, chefs, paramedics. There's over 20 professions, guys and gals. So a lot of possibilities there. And those of you that are familiar with and also like the backgrounds that you normally get out of the core Dungeons and Dragons book, you've got new backgrounds because you're going to want modern backgrounds instead of peasant or noble or anything like that. You're going to be looking at other ones like military brat, rich kid, probably replacing the noble, misfits, activists, gamers, immigrants, LARPers. I love the fact that they've included LARPers as a background. So you're going to get those, which of course is going to give you stuff as well. The other thing is genius points. So genius points allows, basically, this is the successor to action points. So basically, you can use these points to either give yourself or other people advantages. Now, how many that's going to be, don't know. We only got an example of 4 of them. So one example is Can of Whoop Ass. As an action, you can enact this plan to provide yourself or a willing ally with a chemical agent of your own making that gives advantage on speed, attack rolls, and strength checks. I'm going to look at that. Maybe not a chemical agent. Let's say we gave them a big boost of NOS for those pre-workout, and it makes them go a little raw. Or maybe you're juicing them with adrenaline or something. I don't know. Another one is emergency jetpack. When you enact this plan as an action, you reveal an emergency jetpack. You gain a flying speed of 60 feet until the end of your next turn, at which point they fail. They fall if they are not on solid ground. So there's weird plans and schemes that you're going to be able to use. These type of things help add flavor to the game, just like the original action points or your games that include fate or karma, luck dice, that sort of thing. These are just extra flavor that you're going to be getting to help make your character succeed or give them special abilities, since there's not going to be magic or magical character abilities or race abilities and stuff like, if there's no elves, since this is modern day, though I'm sure there's some way you can incorporate them in your own unique system. You're not going to be having elves with their magical ability, or tieflings and Azamar and whatnot. So these are things that are going to help counteract the lack of high magic, since it is a modern setting. So they overhauled the wealth system, so you don't have to worry so much about taking care of a lot of essential stuff like food, buying burner cell phones and laptops, maybe ammunition, that sort of thing. Those things, as long as it's legal, you get to purchase that stuff without making a DC check, unless your GM wants to for reason XYZ. I'm going to call it the Amazon effect, because you can just order everything, have it delivered, and sometimes same day delivery. But things that are extra legal or illegal, you need to buy a suppressor and for your G36 full assault rifle, and you need some armor piercing military grade ammo. Well, now you're going to need to do a DC check to see if you are able to find it and afford it, which makes sense, since this is not the type of setting where you're going to be rifling through everybody's pockets to get their, some gold coins and some gems outside of very unique situations. You're not going to be robbing the evil necromancer's lair for goodies to go sell off so you can afford healing potions and all that sort of stuff. Because a lot of modern day stuff is a lot of electronic transactions for money. So what are you going to loot from the corpses? Their wallet with their credit card that you don't know the PIN number for? Yeah, you could work around that, but every time, I mean, come on, guys, that only works in the movies. But then again, this is kind of a movie. You understand what I'm saying? I hope you smell what I'm stepping in. At any rate, so revised chase system and such. So we're going to take a look at their quick rule book here, the quick start book here in just a second, but I want to go through the rule books. So they've got included in all the core pledges, included in all pledges, is a core rule book for Roll D20, that website. You get a digital rule book. There's also there's a hardcover rule book, and then there's an anniversary cover that takes the version of the original artwork from D20 Modern and puts it on this cover, which I think is actually a really cool concept. Then if we got other things, like I said, we can talk about the cinematic adventures for those different universes. The Roll D20 versions. Foundry is another website. You're going to have that's an add-on for your own pledge. They're going to have Sirenscape. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that. Sound sets. So you're able to incorporate sounds into your games. A lot of people are doing digital games, or when they sit down at other stores, like say, I know at Board and Brew Games in Humble, Texas, they have their own, they have a couple private rooms set up, and they've got TVs. And I know a lot of people bring their laptops, especially the GM, and they can hook it up to the TV or Wi-Fi it, and you have visuals on there plus music to help set the mood. They're going to have digital bundles, and then the pledge levels. They've got the standard pledge level stuff. But let's take a look at not the add-ons. Well, we can see the add-ons. It looks like it's going to be $20 for a cinematic adventure, and then if you want to add more stuff on, you can see all that on there. All right. So season passes. Come on, guys. Where the heck is stretch goals? Here we go. Stretch goals. So we already have some stretch goals. Private Q&A session with the original designers of D20 Modern. Private sessions with Stephen DeKnight. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that. He's done writer-director for Pacific Rim, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Daredevil, Spartacus, and Angel. So he's got a quite extensive roster. And if we happen to get 5,000 backers in 29 days, private Q&A session with Christopher Lambert himself, the Highlander actor. And from what I understand, there's a Highlander reboot movie in development, and I believe Henry Cavill is going to be in that movie. Don't quote me on that, but I believe so. So we've already unlocked the hacker, more backgrounds. They've expanded the backgrounds, such as Orphaned or Came from a Distant Land. Free mini adventure, Rambo prologue is included in the Rambo world. Interesting. We've included a new class, the Hunter. Interesting. We've unlocked some more professions. Yay. And alternative rules for professions. Interesting. GM screen is currently locked at 200,000, but we're probably going to break that today or tomorrow. And then We have a new class, the MMA fighter, which I think is a cool idea. We'll see how that pans out. Then our last stretch goal, which I'm very happy they kept it limited, because as you keep adding on stretch goals, it pushes back the release date unless you've already planned for it. And it also, we've seen that with a number of Kickstarter projects out there where they just kept getting money in there. Like, well, let's go ahead and add on this and add on this and add on this. And now it's 3 years later that we're getting our stuff or more. So this one, if we get to $300,000, more feats, 50 plus new feats and new multi-class feats. That's cool. I would like that. I'm assuming, since there's very limited unlocks here, and that they probably already have the content already created, that they're just wanting to see, hey, do you guys want this stuff? And if so, then pledge, and we're going to add it on. And that just, all that does is tells us how many extra pages we're adding to the hardback rulebook. So let's take a look at the quick start before I keep running my mouth and get distracted. A quick start guide. We're not going to go through this verbatim. I will put the link for this Kickstarter in the description, and then you guys can click on the Kickstarter rules yourself. So one of the biggest things people are going to want to see are the professions. Let's talk about those. They do have a list of professions. So example, the field agent, sample professions, spy, field operative, secret agent, diplomatic, attaché, or just a harmless tourist. You get some ability score adjustments, proficiencies, languages, and it looks like a special something, in this case, a safe house. Okay, that's cool. Journalism is another one. A journalist, blogger, news anchor, paparazzi, reporter, weather person, and such. You get same thing. And like their special ability is I'm with the press. So there's something for everyone for these different professions. You get a little bit of something. The first one is a sample profession of like, hey, this is an idea of what a military person would be. Plus, here's the actual physical benefits you're getting. So everything else is currently looking like the standard D&D classes. So here's the brute. This is the strong character, starting hit points, pretty standard stuff there. Your proficiencies, skills, equipment, saving throws, and then some starting abilities. So it looks like we get up to level 5 abilities. It's just kind of like a preview. There is a defense bonus. So something I have noticed with this is, and I still hate this style system. I dislike the armor class system that they have in this game. I think armor should not be making it harder to hit somebody. I think it should be reducing damage. It should have damage reduction, but this works well with the 5e system, so I'm leaving it alone. But since you're not going to be walking around in full plate armor, and most of the time you're not going to have armor, and even if you do, bulletproof armor, a bulletproof vest isn't full encompassing. So they're providing a defense bonus that's basically a version of your proficiency bonus that you add to your armor class overall. So armor still provides you with a set armor class bonus, plus you have your dexterity, and then classes all have defense bonuses. So Commando's another one. Looks like they're a D12, plus their own. Their defense is equal to, here we go, their defense, they're thick-skinned. They have a 10 plus constitution or dexterity modifier plus their defense bonus. So they get to choose constitution or dexterity. That's cool. They happen to have a higher defense bonus. They are Commando, so they got better training with that sort of stuff. When you add that with armor, it really helps boost. That helps kind of counteract that lack of magic spells and magic armor or full plate armor, chainmail armor, whatnot. So it helps keep with that vibe. I like that. The Genius has a lot lower defense bonus, but they're not running around doing a lot of combat stuff. So this makes sense. So I'm liking how this is working out. They all have their own special abilities. There's the sleuth, same thing. everybody gets their skills. They got special bonuses, special abilities as you level up. There are quick start gear packs. I like this, the brute military pack. That's combining the military profession with the brute class. So military fatigue, combat boots, some mundane stuff, which I don't think night vision goggles is necessarily mundane. Pump action shotgun, some smoke grenades, and a machete. Ballistic vest, medium. There we go. So just give you an idea. Here's some military versions of all those characters. And then they have civilian versions of those characters. So that's really cool if they're kind of combining that. Weapons seem to be just what you would expect from D&D weapons. You see the things like special, you got finesse, but we're going to also see some other special rules or traits, properties like loud, semi-auto, versatile. Well, I think we already had versatile, burst, full auto, that sort of thing. So we're seeing some newer traits or newer properties for weapons and gear. So that's good. I'm digging this. All right, so there we go. Armor value tells you what weapons and armor can protect against. It is compared to the penetration value on weapons. Higher is better. So say a medium ballistic vest, armor value of 3. Let's go back to say, there we go. The pocket pistol, whatever. I don't know how this works out yet, but it has a penetration value of a 1 versus an assault carbine rifle, which has a penetration value of 3. We'll see how this all works out later on. But this gives you an idea of what we're going to be getting with these characters. You got your talents, abilities, skills, everything that you would normally expect from the 5e system. So right now, I'm saying overall, this is looking pretty sharp. I'm going to give this probably a triple check later on because I want to delve a little bit more into this, but I want to at least get this out there on the internet, at least from my perspective. Right now, this is looking really good. It's got enough complexity and simple understanding that is going to be tantalizing to any 5e player out there. And I like the fact that I love the name Everyday Heroes, especially when you're looking at a lot of the content. When I was looking at their iconic characters, as you can see right there on the cover, they're being very inclusive, but they're not pushing any sort of inclusivity thing like, hey, look at us, we got a banner, we're waving it. They're just putting the content in there to focus on everyday heroes of every size, shape, gender, whatnot, and background. So I'm digging that they just put it in there and they're not virtue signaling. I love inclusion, just not the banner waving. So cool so far. Let me know what you guys think. Are you going to back this? Have you already backed it? I would not be surprised if one of you have already backed it. Out of 1,800 people, there's at least a chance that one of you have. I might actually switch over my current support of the Blade Runner RPG from Free League Publishing to this because I am kind of a big fan of modern RPGs. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the description, and maybe next time we'll do a more in-depth review of the quick start guide, and we can do maybe a Q&A or a chit chat based on your guys' responses to this. So go ahead and leave a comment, and of course hit the subscribe and hit that like button. Anyways, you guys have yourself a wonderful Thursday, and I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.